Z dropped the Choso update, and it's great. Choso is free for everyone to use, Todo was added to the game, we got some new stuff for build mode, new maps for roulette, and just a ton that's a lot of fun to play with. It's 3 awakening moves in a single update, plus an entire new character, making this a huge update. This video will go over the whole thing, but before that, make sure to subscribe so that you're up to date on any Jujutsu Shenanigans changes. Now, let's get into the video. Choso is finally free for everyone to play, and a little bit of a tangent, but I really like this release a lot more than Mahito's, because he actually requires skill to play, so unlike free Hitos, who are still threats because spamming with him used to work really well before some nerfs, free Hitos that haven't learned him are free kills. Todo is a new early access character with 1 move and an R special. Choso got 3 new awakening moves called Wing King, Blood Rain, and Plasma Wave. A new game pass that gives you 3 more build saves was added. There's audio for Megumi and Choso's Awakening. 2 new large maps and 1 new small map were added to Roulette. 4 extra billboards were added to the game. 4 new emotes were added to the game. A scale logic block was added to the game. 1 new setting to damage blocks, which is max HP, was added. The amount of blood from dead players was reduced, probably to get the game's age rating down. The explosion intensity of Mahito's bloody explosions was reduced. The amount of lives you start with in Brain Swap is back to 3, but it's also bugged so that lives don't go down, so a bit of a screw up on Z. Brain Swap and Sorcery Clash use large maps. First to 20 uses small maps. The starting amount of orbs when using Cycling Exorcism variants was reduced to 1. Soulfire now removes end lag when landing the 3rd hit. The startup speed of Body Repel was reverted. The voting method for Roulette was changed to a weighted random system. Mahito's Awakening Black Flash now requires 2 hits to activate Super Awakening. Voting on game modes now adds up votes of duplicate game modes. Bursting now stuns the closest player instead of knocking away. Bursting now damages knocked players. Awakening progress resets if you fall into the void. Using Convergence during Awakening drains health instead of Awakening Bar now. You can delete multi-selected parts in build mode. Adaptation and World Slash were added to moveset blocks. Finally, there's bug fixes that I'll put up on the screen here. Pause if you want to read them, and once you're down, well, I'll get started talking. First, let's discuss the new Choso Awakening moves. I find them really funny, where 1 move is insanely good and a candidate for the best Awakening move, 1 move is in the middle where it's very good, but also balanced out by some limitations, and 1 move is just borderline useless. I'll go over each of them individually. Wing King is one of the strongest Awakening moves out there. It does a flurry of blows that constantly moves a user forward, and during this whole process, the user is invincible, so they can't be stopped by anything. Anyone hit by the pretty large hitbox of the attack gets stunned, and almost always gets hit by the rest of the blows, and at the very end, you detach your hand in a blockable grab that ends with a slam downwards that helps you lead into other moves. The iframes are the main thing that make this move very good, and it comes out near instantly, so if you're up close, you can just pop this thing, and now you've got 330 or more damage. Whatever it does, I forgot. Honestly, it might need a nerf, though I can't say for sure, since it acts as a win up close engagements completely for free button for Choso that doesn't have any counterplay besides counters, which even then, have to be done on prediction since there's virtually no startup, unlike a lot of Hikari moves that are at least punished by either not having iframes or having a small bit of startup where it can be stopped. Very strong move, definitely the best by far in his Awakening strength-wise. Blood Rain, on the other hand, is considerably more balanced, but it's still very good. It has a decently long startup before you essentially create a Sukuna domain around you. You get Accelerated Awakening Drain while it's active, so you can't just have it down all the time, but pair it with Wing King or something, and you'll shred people's HP bars so quickly that it's not really a problem. It's monstrously good in 1v1s, and while I haven't had a 2v1 experience, Sukuna's domain works well there, so it stands to reason that this would too. Incredibly powerful move that's bounced out by the Awakening Drain, which stops you from just always having it down, and the long cooldown that stops you from turning it on and off whenever you want. It's a card you want to play when you're going for the kill, and it serves that purpose very well, though you do have to uppercut into it, or else it'll likely be interrupted or escaped from, kind of like a domain expansion. Finally, for Plasma Wave, oh man, I can't sugarcoat it. This move is awful. It has 0 iframes, cannot be turned after being used, and has an incredibly long startup that makes it impossible to be comboed into. The only way I can think of for you to actually land this move is have a friend of yours hold someone down and pray that they don't move out of the radius while your friend is beating them up. It is a one-shot, and it's clear that Z is going for a sort of hollow purple or world slash type move where it's hard to land but gets you a ton of value by landing it, except it's not just hard to land this move, it's downright impossible. I landed it once against someone who was typing, but outside of that, nope. The problem with this move is twofold. You can't use it up close because it's so punishable, and can easily be interrupted with that year-long startup, and since you can't turn it around, if someone decides to just walk in a straight line to the side, they're out of the radius as long as they're not stupid and walking right into it. It being a one-shot means nothing at all if you're never going to land it, and while it does work in public servers, if you use it on a crowd from a corner and snipe someone, since the range is pretty long, it has no value competitively besides the teamer cheese I talked about, which again, isn't great. It's an awakening move that needs you to be jumping someone or hiding in a corner for it to work, and is useless if you're in a 1v1 scenario, getting jumped, or basically fighting anybody who's actually able to fight back. It is also really similar to Slicing Exorcism's variant, which is another thing too, but yeah, the move is bad. One shot, yet you're never going to land unless I'm missing something. Finally, we've got Todo, and to put it bluntly, he's definitely set up to be an amazing character, though he definitely didn't release in a state I consider viable, unlike Choso's release, and it's very likely that it'll stay that way for a long time, since Z's schedule doesn't leave him much time to update the game now. He has one move called Swift Kicks that does a blockable dash kick forward, and then does an unblockable rush that grabs anyone hit before throwing them. The move itself does pitifully small damage, but it's still an incredibly good move because of how to kick comes out quickly, which can catch people off guard, and how to rush is unblockable, which a lot of people struggle to counter. It is counterable, mind you, block the kick and then M1 to Todo in downtime between the kick and the rush, but it's still a great move. Todo also has swapping as his R special, which consumes Awakening, and is a lot of fun to use. It's got some competitive use too, with throwing people off and catching them by surprise, though I do have one note for it, and it's that while it is technically blockable, it's very weird with how its block works. The block angle for this move is incredibly short, and just moving a few studs to the side will make the move unblockable, so kind of weird. But either way, it's balanced, while still being pretty good. Bottom line is that Todo's set up to be a great character with his first move, being an amazing neutral tool. But he's definitely not a good character as it stands right now, since he only has one move, and basically no damage. It'll take some time, but I do see him being great. As for the other changes to talk about, I'm glad that Choso's R special in Awakening consumes health now, because having it consume Awakening was way too high of a penalty for something that didn't really matter too much. Mahito's changes, on the other hand, are pretty significant. Now he can actually get his Super Awakening, because he only needs to land 2 Black Flashes, which is possible, while still not being something you can turn your brain off and do. But to make up for it, it shares your Idle Transfiguration cooldown, forcing you to choose between either killing your target through Idle Transfiguration, or going for the damage route, and using your Super Awakening. It's a good choice from how I see it, and makes the Super Awakening possible to use again, while still keeping Mahito's Awakening relatively balanced. Other than that, the Soulfire change is good too, since it still gets rid of the tech, and makes the move punishable on whiff, while rewarding Mahito for landing it, instead of keeping him stunned and not letting him follow up. Lots of good balance changes this update. As a whole, this update is great. It's a lot of fun, and with that, we're at the end of the video. If you enjoyed watching, then please make sure to subscribe since it really helps out a lot. I'm Noob Eternally, hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time in another video. Bye.